podcast, everybody. Hello. Welcome back. We are down a person, and that is Harrison. I did not take a shot at you, Harrison. You were lucky this time. But we have Sam here, we have Branden here, and myself here to do another podcast. And today is going to be an interesting one. The reason why it's going to be an interesting one, if you've been listening to the podcast as of recent, when Branden has come on, he's really here because he's the baseball guy. And this podcast is solely going to be so you can see all of his personality let out, because we're talking nothing but baseball. And we will be talking about the All-Star Game, Snubs, Home Run Derby, which Branden is participating in. We will also be talking about the Yankees and what they've been doing. Godforsaken Volpe. The Nationals have a big firing over there. And a Do You Care, which I see somebody slipped in there that they shouldn't have done that. So, with that being said, gentlemen, how was your fourth, and how are you doing?
It was good. It was hot.
It's hot.
Warm. Yeah. Did a lot of yard work, the usual. Lowe's run on Saturday, Didn't shoot off any fireworks, but heard and saw a lot of them. So, yeah, it was good. Sam, how was the Cape?
I went to the Cape. Family. Good time. Weather was great. Beer was good. Family was good. I will say, hot take, amateur fireworks are not a fan. I just think I've always just thought they're for losers. That's just my opinion. It's fine. Don't blow your hand off. Just go to the park.
Yeah, not worth it. Yeah.
Although, shout out Cronemer Park, Algonquin Park in the early 2000s. I know we were all there.
Yeah.
Shout out.
We definitely were.
Good old days. Hayes, how was your fourth?
It was great because I didn't see any fireworks because I hate fireworks. So that's not a hot take for me. It's just where I stand. I'm just not a fan of fireworks. I just also think I understand what fireworks have done here, but every year I see the following day on social media, somebody lost their hand. There was actually a whole thing on X of multiple people losing their hands or having their hands split open. So I think that's terrible. Also, there was like a 4-house fire in Washington, which I'm pretty sure was a direct effect of that. So I'm all for but in general, I drank my ass off pretty much from Thursday to yesterday. So I was going to have my regular beer, as I do on every podcast, essentially. I don't want to see a beer right now. So that is kind of what it is. But it was good, guys. I didn't really do too much.
Did you drink the king of beers on America's birthday?
That was not going to happen, and it did not happen. But my dad. So.
How many did you crush? Bacon.
Beers did I crush throughout this week?
No, Branden. How many Bud Heavies did you?
Budweisers. I mean, it's the king of beers. Yeah, they go down easy. They were flowing. It was plentiful. Had a good old American fourth.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. How many hot dogs did you eat? Or is that
not as many as our boy Joey Chestnut?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll save that for later.
I thought it was a good segue. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, that's what the people want.
Well,
the glizzy
hot dog content.
If people want that, they can go to the All-Star Game because there'll be plenty of hot dog vendors there. So let's just get into that. The All-Star Game is upon us. It's this weekend, correct, gentlemen? It starts when? Friday? Thursday?
The All-Star Game's Tuesday? Next Tuesday.
I don't even know when it is. This is why I'm leaving.
Home Run Derby's next Monday, yeah.
There you go. So we got some snubs here. We got some questions about the Derby. So, gentlemen, where do you want to start with the All-Star Game? You want to start with some snubs?
Yeah. Why not?
Sam, go for it. Take it away.
Okay.
I think the big one everyone's talking about is Juan Soto. Didn't make the All-Star team. I think the caveat here is it's kind of like the Pro Bowl, where like no one, especially the quarterbacks, want to participate in the Pro Bowl, and then like you end up getting just random, quarterbacks being named, starters. a lot of times pitchers, if they're going to pitch on Saturday or Sunday leading up to All-Star game, they end up going, but they don't pitch. Someone else gets added. But the big one here was that Juan Soto did not make the All-Star team as either voted in or a reserve. Now, remember, the reserves are picked by the manager who won the pennant the year before, so Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone, as well as I think there's a fan or a team vote, like a player vote or something like that. But Soto started slow and had, I think it was named Player of the Month in June or something like that, and well deserved. And but so far not an All-Star. He kind of, the quote I saw was this: he owned it. I just got to play better. But yeah, that's kind of the one getting all the headlines. But it's it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Especially if he said it's okay. So that, I guess that's the glaring one that jumps off the list for me. But
yeah, I'm going to say Seiya Suzuki of the Cubs leads the league in RBIs. He's 6th in home runs. Actually crushed one last night that I saw while watching the Cub game. I definitely think he's a pretty big omission here on this list, just based on his counting stats as well. I get Soto, but yeah, I think Seiya is the big snub here. There's also a slew of pitchers too. Yep. Framer, Evaldi, Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies. A lot of good arms that potentially got snubbed. But to Sam's point, there's going to be guys who can't pitch in the game because of when their turn is in the rotation, too close to the actual All-Star game. So I'm sure we'll get some of these guys in the game here and some replacements here as we get closer to next week.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a whole All-Star team of just the snubs, right? Yeah. So, I mean, every year, if there were 30 roster spots, you're going to it's like March Madness, right? You're going to complain about the teams on the bubble. But yeah, you could field an entire team. Michael Busch had it, and they had a huge weekend too, right? Didn't he hit 3 home runs on Friday?
Yeah, he was going nuts. Killed me in fantasy. I was facing the guy who had him. Yeah. I had George Springer too. He's another snub here, so... But yeah, Bush had a hell of a weekend. Cubs are on fire.
Very funny story about this weekend. I'll tell you both off there. Reason. Good guy. He was really good guy. Really, genuinely one of the best people that you do.
UConn.
Sure.
Played at Avon Old Farms in Connecticut. Yeah.
Go Huskies.
His wife is to Albany, and she's from Kingston.
Nice. There we go.
You got to bring some gems here too, guys. And some stuff you didn't know. See, look, behind the scenes. Yeah. There's a question that was asked off air, but it's also on this. Does every team need a representative? And Brendan started to say something, so I'll give you the floor to start first. On what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides of it. Yes, I see the drawbacks of that. Like you certainly get some stinkers on the team, some less than desirable guys on the team, just to make sure you have a representative from every organization. But I also see the other side of it. By having that representation, you do kind of I don't want to say cater to, but get some interest from every fan base, right? So you have a Rockies or a Marlins or whoever the Nats have some pretty good young players, but some of the bad teams in the league, you still have a representative there and kind of appease their fans a little bit and get some more viewership, maybe some extra jersey sales, who knows? But I can see both sides there. And like I said, Hayes, starting this conversation before the pod started. Sam, I know you fall on the other side of the fence there and really are not a big fan of that rule.
It's fine. I mean, just kind of looking at some of them, like, all right, like who on the White Sox needs to go to the All-Star game? And then the big, just looking online, like the big, their addition was Shane Smith, who a good pitcher. I mean, his numbers aren't going to jump off the page, especially on a team that can't score runs for him. But he has 4 wins. Framber Valdez, he's double-digit wins already. ERA under 2.75 or something like that. So I get it. I made the point before pod. I remember Tigers setup guy Joe Jimenez like 5, 6, 7 years ago when he was like one of the best setup guys in the league, got named to the All-Star game, and it's like I don't even remember if he pitched or not, but it's like, okay, cool. Our Tiger fans watching the game if Joe Jimenez is not on the roster. So, it's just one of those things. And this is what happens sometimes when you do the fan voting too, or the more popular players are going to get in, and there's going to, again, be guys on the bubble. I think either way, it's fine. If you told me we're going to add 5 more position or 5 more spots to each roster, great. But there's always going to be that 6th guy, that 7th guy. I get it from, perspective of let's let everyone play, but we don't, to my knowledge, we don't do that in the other major sports all-star games.
The point I was going to
make. And also like my thing with the all-star game, going back and forth with it. Yeah, we ended up in a tie. What was that? 20 years ago in Milwaukee. And then we made the all-star game meaningful, and then everyone hated it. So does it really matter? I'm happy for all the first time players, the guys getting nods like the Jonathan Aranda and Branden Lau I see in here, and just like Jacob Wilson's rookie, like that's cool. Brian Wu, our boy, like it's awesome. But like for every new guy, it's like, all right, do we need to see Shane Smith and Tatis is Fernando Tatis, but he's not having a superb year.
Yeah.
I saw something that like J-Rod's OPS is under 700. Should he be an all-star? No, but he was voted. People love Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned first-time all-stars too. I think there's 19 this year, which is pretty awesome. I feel like that's a good sign for the game overall too. So pretty cool to have that many new faces in the mix here. And a big one too. I mean, Matthew Boyd, who would have seen that one coming, right? To make the national NL team here for the Cubs. He's having a hell of a season. So yeah, 19 first-time All-Stars this year. Pretty cool.
I just want to say to piggyback off of what Sam said, it's the only thing that I really have to say about it is, yes, I don't believe that football or basketball does this. Baseball does it. I don't believe it also doesn't do that either. But I also feel that with the weird viewership and relationship that I guess the fan base is with baseball, I think they kind of need whatever they can get right now until they get to a point of being, as dominant as, let's just say, basketball or baseball in viewership, to do whatever they can to get all fan bases in. Now, again, that's the detriment to the product that's currently out there, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean, like we were saying, if there's just a pitcher, a reliever that's on the White Sox that's going to be an all-star, how many people do you believe from Chicago are going to be sitting around at local bars like, there's our guy pitching for 1 inning? Like, they're not. It's probably not going to happen. But I think once they get to a really, really good spot, and I think they're trending upwards, right, viewership wise. And I do, I mean, as we enjoy it because we just enjoy it, but I just think the people that deserve to be there should be there, not the pity invite just to have people represent that, because then it's snubbing somebody else, like the names that we mentioned that could potentially be in there. And again, to the point, somebody's always going to complain, but if I'm sitting at home and I have an opportunity of, I was on the bubble of being in and somebody's in and they're on a team that essentially didn't need to have an all-star because they're not necessarily doing the best or are better statistically than me, then I'm going to be sitting at home pissed off. That would just be me. But I do see it both ways. I understand the business aspect of it. You want all teams, you want the merch to be out there that they're going to do this, the all-star ugly ass merch that they got going on out there with, it's probably going to be exactly as terrible as last year's was.
I hope not.
The 4th of July was terrible. So again, it's just another thing for people to wear around the stadium. That's really it.
Are they out?
The batting practice or what they're going to wear in the Derby. You know, they're going to wear the actual jerseys.
Thankfully, they're going back to that, right?
Yeah. But it's kind of cool because it's in Atlanta, so it has the old little throwback lowercase a and like that font and AL. So they're fine. They're definitely, it's 100 times better than last year.
Listen, we never needed you to change the formula when it came to all-star jerseys. Like, just leave it for baseball. It's perfectly fine seeing their jerseys. Just put a cool-ass patch on the hat so everybody used to wear exactly that. Oh, I'm a Yankees fan. I get the all-star game patch. I can wear that all season long, right, and do all that. Same for whatever team. It's just a new hat to have. I think you should just keep it that way, and it's just only difference is they can wear it whenever when they're going to the game. It just has an all-star patch on it. Just call it a day.
These hats are a little odd, huh? Are they like a 5-panel hat?
Yeah, it's a weird. It's like a 5-panel hat. It's odd.
Please put it. I'm gonna look at it.
Google it.
Just doing too much.
It's an all-star hat, huh?
It's still it's like a combo. It's looks like the normal everyday hat, but then it has like a extra panel at the top of the crown,
in the middle of it.
Yeah, with the 2 stars on it.
This is the dumbest.
It's not as bad as last year. Nothing is as bad as last year.
Yeah. Last year was certainly that one took the cake, but
it's not great. It's not great. It's definitely not great.
At least they're going back to the team jerseys for the game.
You're welcome, baseball world. We did that.
Yeah,
so you're welcome.
I think we're all excited about that.
We sure did.
We sure did.
So like that patch on the side, the All-Star patch is dope as hell. Just leave that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna infuriate me. I don't need to see that anymore.
So, question for you guys before we move off the All-Star game. Mm-hmm. Does MLB do the All-Star game or All-Star, let's say, week the best out of the major sports, in your opinion?
Yes. As a fan, as I used to, I would say in the past, no, over basketball, because I loved what basketball was. But now that the premier players are picking and choosing what they essentially want to do when they used to all essentially play. Mm-hmm. And now you kind of just don't know. You know that you're going to possibly see somebody from the G League playing in some games. And it just, you're watching the All-Star weekend to see All-Stars, the guys that were selected. So for baseball, it's awesome to see that those guys show up. And then there's also a lot of guys that just show up just to be there to support their teammates and be there and show them camaraderie and just be around the festivities and whatnot. And I enjoy that too, which does happen in basketball as well too. But I do believe they do this way better. The home run derbies was to me the equivalent to the dunk contest, but it still brings viewership. And it's a premier part of the weekend, right? If anything, it most likely surpasses the actual All-Star game because people want to see the long ball, right? So I think they do that well. But also, I love the Worlds against USA. Like I love that game. Enjoy that as well too, right? So you get to see some of the guys that are coming up.
The futures game.
You don't know, you aren't familiar, right? And then you get to learn the game as it goes from there. And I love that exposure too. Same equivalent to the sophomore and rookie game in the NBA. So I just think MLB does it better.
Yeah, I mean, I think being in the Northeast here and the NBA All-Star game being like middle of February, and not much else going on, it was always kind of appointment viewing, but I've always loved what MLB has done, and just the vibe of the home run derby is cool. Like players with their kids and having their phones out. We all remember like Shaq with his camcorder and like Vince Carter and stuff like that. Like that was cool. But yeah, the futures game is a lot of fun, I know we'll be locked into that. And I always watch I used to always watch the like celebrity softball thing, and haven't really done that in recent years. But yeah, I think what hurts baseball is, and kind of what just hurts baseball in general, it's during the summer there's a lot of games, and it's sometimes hard to watch on a Monday or Tuesday night. But that I think they do a good job of trying to get the casual fan interested the best they can.
Yeah, I agree. There's just something that's like, I don't know, to me at least, romantic about All-Star Weekend or the All-Star Week. Like I said, getting it kicked off with the draft on Sunday. You get the futures game. It's a good point, Sam. I forgot about the Celebrity All-Star softball game as well, which is always kind of entertaining. And they bring in some musicians and actors and maybe football players or whoever else within that particular city where the game's being held. And then, of course, the Derby and the game itself. I mean, just a lot of childhood memories for me, watching the Derby. I think of Josh Hamilton in the old Yankee Stadium. I think of A-Rod pushing Cal Ripken over to short in his final All-Star game. So, yeah, it's one of my favorite times of the year, and it just feels, it's just something, like I said, romantic about baseball in general, but especially the All-Star weekend.
I think with that, and there's two things I'll say to this. One that doesn't have to do with anything that you guys just said, and this one that does. I do enjoy seeing the camaraderie, right? Like for me, it's I watch a lot of Premier League and kind of seeing how these are all professionals and they have a lot of relationships, friendships. A lot of these guys went to, especially baseball, a lot of these guys went to college or played against each other in college and have, these intertwining relationships that they played in numerous places and have seen each other for years, whether it started in, AAU and all that other stuff, right? Travel ball and whatnot. I do love that, and seeing them all kind of come together. It's also like, especially in more recent years as we were growing up, seeing how the Dominican players, as there's more Dominican players, like they all know each other because they go back and play in these leagues, and you can see how they champion each other and whatnot, and even the players from the U.S. and the camaraderie that they have. So I very much so enjoy that. But what I enjoy even more, and that needs to come back, I don't know if MTV, you still have the rights to this, but Rock and Jock needs to come back somehow, some way. I don't know what we got to do to get this, because I need to see some celebrities out here trying to swing a bat, something like that. Make it fun, entertaining, bring the stuff, rock and jock jams, all that stuff. I just need that back to go with that, and wear the wild jerseys, because that was the lead up to the All-Stars, and then it went from there, and it just added to that. So let's do something and bring that back. For sure, just stop making it cheesy and make it fun.
Carson Daly back, yeah.
There we go.
I mean, Carson's still out here doing his thing, so we can get him out here somehow, some way.
Yeah.
He's probably going to charge an arm and a leg to come out and do it. But get Carson.
Yeah. Going back to the Derby really quick, the format. What's your guys' take on the current format, like the timer and the bonus balls? Do you prefer that over 10 outs? Or do you kind of wish they would go back to the old format there?
I mean,
I like it both ways, honestly.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I have nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I mean, you start to... Yeah, I guess I like it, right? I mean, what's the point? The point is to see as many home runs as possible, right?
So it's faster pace, yeah.
Faster pace, and the bonus for the distance and whatnot, like that's cool. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. I would watch it anyway. But the endurance, I guess, right? You just want to see.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like the guys they're just completely gassed at the end of it. I mean, taking 30 plus swings, and I think I'm good either way as well, Sam, to your point. Like I would watch it regardless, but I think I prefer the 10 outs.
It took me a while to remember what the new format was, and I know it was a couple of years they changed it, but again, at least they're doing something. I mean, I feel like in the midpoint of every season or at the end of the NFL season, we sit here and we complain about the All-Star game. And it's like, I mean, what hockey did, that was an awesome All-Star game. At least these leagues are trying. I think maybe the NFL's trying a little too hard, but I don't know what they could do then for the NFL to watch the Pro Bowl. So let's just have fun with it. At the end of the day, we're seeing the more prolific names in baseball hitting home runs. And, if I'm not sure the entire field of who's in the Derby, I don't think it's all been announced yet, but it's kind of cool that you can see Byron Buxton and America can be introduced to probably one of the more hyped prospects to ever come into baseball. He just can't stay healthy. But when that half a season he gives you is all-star worthy because he's that good of a player. He needs to just stop running into walls and running into people in the outfield. But he is, as dynamic of a player as they come. He's been in the league for a decade, and I'm sure a lot of, if you're not a baseball fan, you don't know who he is. So that'll be great to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Hayes' boy, the big dumper, is going to be in the Derby this year. So that'll be exciting. League leader in home runs. And you got Acuna representing Atlanta. So James Wood.
Acuna's going to hit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
nice.
It's,
I just know
pretty big names.
I just know GMs and coaches are probably swinging their lives away with fatigue and potentially straining something.
I would be, yeah.
Sitting there just
shaking. They can throw off your swing too. Was it Bobby Abreu who wasn't the same during the second half after the Derby? So yeah,
Bobby Abreu, prolific home run hitter, Bobby Abreu.
Yeah. So yeah,
gentlemen, let's talk about our Yankees.
Do we have to?
Unfortunately, we do.
Yankees corner is back, baby.
Yeah, it's
a dark corner.
Yeah, it's a garbage can on the corner. What was your thoughts on their recent struggles, gentlemen? They just dropped the Subway Series. This the second series of the Subway Series against the Mets this weekend, but they did pull out a game on Sunday and won that one. But it looked lost. There was a lot of somewhat coaching errors, defensive errors, and we'll get into one particular person for sure. We've mentioned his name a couple of times, but I'm just kind of curious what you both think of what is going on, or do, as Harrison said in the chat, that fans in general, especially when it comes to baseball, just kind of need to relax because of the ebbs and flows of what the whole season.
Yeah, I think there's certainly validity to that. It's a long season. Who knows? The Yanks could get super hot in the second half, and this is just an afterthought. Because it's such a long season, to Harry's point, teams go through funks. They go through losing streaks. They go through winning streaks, so it's all a matter of how they respond and rebound and then getting hot at the right time too. I'm doing my best not to overreact, since we are just over the midway point in terms of number of games played. But they're 3 games back in the AL East, right? So Blue Jays are now in first. So it's been a really tough couple of weeks here, and a lot has gone wrong. A lot of strikeouts. Guys are in pretty bad slumps outside of Judge and Belly. Jazz has been turning it on as of late, although now he's nursing a sore shoulder. So let's just hope that's not serious. The bullpen has been atrocious. So let's hope it's just a funk, in a bad couple of weeks and they start to turn it around. But yeah, it hasn't been good. Hasn't been fun to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, the bullpen has been a mess, and I couldn't tell you how many games it's cost us just in recent weeks. It's a long season. I agree with Branden, your take, with Harrison's take too. I mean, there's ebbs and flows, right? You need to beat the good teams. You need to destroy the bad teams, but you need to play good baseball against the division leading teams, and we're not. So we'll see. Hopefully, some rest will do them all good here, but it's troublesome. Now, Clark Schmidt's gonna have Tommy John surgery more than likely, so he's done until 2027 pretty much at this point. You're getting Heel back. We'll see like what some of the rookies in the minors can do here, but there's just a lot of needs for a team that I'm not entirely sure is gonna fulfill them. So we'll wait and see there, but yeah, somehow the Rays keep finding ways to get it done. This year seems even more crazier than recent years, just due to the lack of what you would perceive talent on the roster there. I mean, the Blue Jays always kind of find a way to be relevant for a little bit. Hopefully, and that team is kind of an enigma because there's so much talent on that team, but they're never quite consistent. But playing well here. But yeah, with the Yankees, I keep going back to what John Sterling said. I don't remember at what point, but they're running the bases like a bunch of drunks. They're playing defense like a bunch of drunks, and like it's costing games. And when you don't, you kind of take for granted the shutout bullpen, that we watched growing up too. I mean, just with arguably the best pitcher of all time, if not one of them, in Mo closing out games. It's welcome back to the pack. Even a guy like Luke Weaver, Devin Williams look far from their best outcome. So yeah, it's a long season, but yeah, I'm pretty worried.
A few years ago, I would be raging about this because my passion for the Yankees, it still remains, but it's not. The Eagles have definitely replaced that. I'll say that for sure. Rage more when it comes to that. When it comes to the Yankees, I kind of, especially for me under the Boone era, I think it irritates me more than ever. I just feel the defense lacks and has lacked ever since he's pretty much become the coach. Seeing what it feels like to me, most stats can probably prove me wrong for what I'm saying, but just the eye test of what I see, it just kind of just irks me on just kind of the playing, the lack of defense. But again, at some point that's also got to be on the players too. Boone's not out there playing. Right? He's not the one fielding the ball. He's not the one throwing the ball. He's not the one making mistakes. And I know it just happens. It's just part of the game. Play the game, it just happens. It's a very hard game to play. For those that have never, ever played. It is very, very hard. But I think since it's such a long season, and it kind of takes over a space that we find it hard at times, especially during the summer, to really talk about much. It takes over the whole entire summer. And it's basically, for me, a gap between basketball, which I didn't really watch this much this year, to football, right? And then as soon as I'm in football, it's really everything else is kind of to the curb for me. I watch, still see what I do for the podcast and just for my own pleasure of watching, but it just knowing that I'm now watching my team that I love, grew up watching, the same with you guys, watching World Series, going to parades, all this stuff that you're invested in. It's just hard to kind of watch at times of kind of the boneheaded stuff. I think it's really just like, for me, it's just kind of been a culmination of all the things that kind of happened over the years. And I will flat out say it's probably because we were spoiled as kids. We got to watch them win so damn much and see them dominate so damn much. And now we're seeing them essentially struggle like other franchises have, right? And we'll go do the same moves that George did and go out and buy the big name, and they're trying to do the small ball thing, which I love, and build from the farm system. But then at point in times, they would keep those players there and never allow them to flourish, and then you never want to trade them either until their value's gone. So I think it's just, for me, it's a multitude of things. It's not just the product that's put on the field. It's the stuff that we pay attention to that's also off the field that happens, that adds to my frustration. And I'm looking like, we could get better, but at times there's moves that aren't made. But to Brendan's point that he made when we were chatting, I do believe the moves that are made, we don't necessarily lose. It's just how everything comes together. In it, just like in any sport, it just needs to come together perfectly. And it really kind of hasn't for us in recent years.
I think to the defensive thing, that's not necessarily on Aaron Boone. I think this team has been built a certain way. I mean, you don't acquire, like, even 7 years ago, whenever we got Giancarlo Stanton, doesn't give you anything defensively, and that's when his legs were healthier, right? And he'd always get these freak injuries, get nailed in the face, stuff like that. But like Giancarlo Stanton's, I wouldn't be surprised if was a negative WAR player back when he was healthy, right? I mean, you get someone like DJ who's done a great job playing in the infield and learning first base and learning third base, but he's a second baseman. You know, Jazz is out of position. Volpe's has 11 errors, I saw, like, and that's not like him. I know he's up there in like defensive runs saved, and shortstop's an incredibly hard position to play. Don't get me wrong, but like, there's just a lot. You know, you draft a guy like Austin Wells, and you know, I think I said it last pod. You know, he's made light years improvement defensively, and I never thought that would be the case. I thought he'd end up being Kyle Schwarber because that was kind of his comp, right? And he'd just be this corner outfielder, first baseman, and the staff loves him, and he plays really well. But there's a lot of guys playing out of position. Defense was never really valued. I mean, even look at Aaron Judge playing center field in the World Series, and he made a boneheaded drop, and it's fine. Like, it was fine the second it happened for me. I was not, like, I was pissed off and I was mad, but it's like, we wouldn't even be sniffing the World Series if it wasn't for Aaron Judge winning a World Series. And we saw what we've not had him enough to see where it goes awry. So like, he shouldn't be playing center field, but you get a guy like Harrison Bader is supposed to be a great defensive outfielder. He doesn't do shit for you in the outfield or offensively. Your boy Aaron Hicks, great defensive outfielder, can't stay healthy, can't hit. And we had him hitting fourth, you know, so it's like, we could do a daily podcast on all of it, but I think it just shows, to your point, we're spoiled. Like, we saw 4 World Series in 5 years, probably never see that again. Like, I don't know if the baseball world will see that again. Even you see the Dodgers were the favorites by a mile to win the World Series this year, and they're still winning and they're fielding an incredible team. But you look at talk about an all-star team, look at their injured list, especially their rotation. Like, there's a handful of all-stars there. So it's like, and to the point about the Eagles, like, my football team sucked for the majority of my life. So like, and I've always just loved baseball more. So people are like, why do you like baseball more than football? It's like, well, it's my baseball team's fun to watch. It's fun to watch winning. Like, I talk about all the time, like, explaining to my 7-year-old, like, that the Yankees lost a game that they were winning 5 minutes ago. And it's like, well, that's baseball, Susan. You know, like, that's just, it's a long season and it's okay. But it's not quite the, end all be all week to week that football is. And it helps when your team's really good and you have something to look forward to. And you have the sorcerer as your general manager. Because Howie's the GOAT. Seriously, he does like Jedi mind tricks on everybody. It's just like, you will take this
and actually see, like, as I think that's why for me, I will say, like, that's why for me it makes me pissed off with all my other teams right now, like, except for the Nets. Like, I know the Nets are not doing anything, but they are game planning for the future and getting all these picks. Now, whether I like their picks or not, is a whole other topic that we can get into. And
I've been meaning to ask you about that.
Should get into on this podcast at some point. But I do like that they're stockpiling if they're going to make the right decisions, right? I love what Howie's doing because you can see the plan. He's getting younger guys to come in to learn from the veterans and then allowing them to grow and learn under there, right? And that's we've talked about this in the chat, guys. Is Jason Dominguez, prime example. We all love Jason Dominguez on this podcast, right? I am a huge fan of Jason Dominguez. Love Jason Dominguez, right? But to the point that you guys made is this kid gets taken out each time he's basically struggling. How is he ever going to actually flourish if you're not allowing him to play? Right? We've watched other young players go through these situations and go from there, which is why I then start to question management. Because if you're a good management team, you get behind these guys, you support these guys, and get them to where they have to go. And then it starts to make me lose faith. Like, do you not have a solid support system or an idea or a plan for this young player to get them to that next spot, to get them to elevate to that? Obviously, they have to put in the work as well, too, right? And get themselves to that next level. But what are you doing as an organization to now support these young players?
Yeah, it's their responsibility to put these young guys in positions where they can succeed and flourish. Thankfully, Dominguez is starting to show some life. He actually, had a pretty good weekend against the Mets, even going back to Toronto. But it's the organization's responsibility to put these guys into situations where they can really develop and succeed. They gotta work through the hard times. You can't just, have Dominguez or Ben Rice hit a wall and then you're going to get benched or have sporadic playing time now and expect them to turn things around. They got to learn how to work through it. Go ahead, Hayes.
I want to ask you something off that, both of you something off that. I think that's one of the biggest problems of the Yankees right now is because they have so many veterans and Boone is like the player's coach and he wants to make sure that his veteran guys get play, right? So you got DJ who's out there who's definitely lost the step, right? And now the conversation over the weekend was, well, DJ, do we put Jazz back at third where Jazz is a better second baseman to put DJ in to play him at second base to move him around, like statistically proving these certain things. And we're moving these guys to let some of these veteran players still come back in and play. Now, if it is a Judge or something like that, then you do whatever the hell you got to do, right? But now we're trying to figure out where we put Giancarlo in. If Jason Dominguez is hot, why are we putting Giancarlo in or moving somebody else around that's hot and do it? Like, I think that's the problem right now is this, we have so many guys that Boone, like are Boone's guys that he wants to get them in. And when reality, we should have a good mix, but we should be putting the young players in a position so they can flourish in the future.
What would you do though?
I don't know what I would do, but I mean, in general, what I would have done, in my opinion, is there's certain players that I would have not brought back in certain situations in certain years under Boone, and that he's continued to bring back in situations, let some people go, potentially trade some people. When you see, when a guy is on a decline, at least you believe and you see it with your eyes, you can kind of see it. If I'm having a guy like a DJ and Stanton that are always hurt, in my mind, it's like, yes, they still have value, especially Stanton has value in the postseason. What about the regular season, right? DJ, he still has value because he is a solid defensive player, and when he is healthy, he's going to hit the shit out of the ball, right? You still got some type of value in it, so try to move these people and let your younger guys come in and play.
As far as you're stuck with Stanton when that contract has not changed. He hasn't been re-signed. I was wrong with DJ. I was like, you have to re-sign DJ LeMahieu. I don't know if we had a podcast then, but I remember thinking it needs to happen. I know there are rumors of him going to Blue Jays or whatever, but we have to sign DJ. That doesn't look great now, but hindsight is what it is. But as far as the infield, the log jams in the outfield, first base, who's going to play third base? Oswald Peraza, sucks that Waldo got hurt. That blows. That sucks. but like Peraza is going to play third. Pablo Reyes is going to play third. Jamer Candelario is going to play third. Like,
okay, so to
cool.
to that point, I ask you this: there
I
has
think
been
DJ should play third and
that
Jazz
they
should play third.
traded for a third baseman, a veteran guy that is not on the latter half of their career, and potentially get rid of a prospect, which they have done. And you know that I've been pissed off with some of the prospects that they've gotten rid of. But I'm also okay if you have a plan for it, right? Or you see a big plan. Third base, we could have gotten some good players at third base, and that didn't happen. So now we're sitting here with Peraza, and this is essentially Peraza's last chance to basically make third base and play.
He's out of options. He'll get DFA'd.
Yeah,
he's probably going to get DFA'd when Candelario gets called up because he got cut by the Reds and he's in AAA now, and Peraza doesn't have options left. So, but here's the thing: like, and we complain, no Trey Turner playing shortstop, no Corey Seager playing shortstop, whoever it was. It's like, what was the plan? The plan was Anthony Volpe. Now we have to live with Anthony Volpe. Like, this is the result. Like, that's why Branden and I spend the majority of our days talking to each other about dynasty fantasy baseball. And it kind of goes like, okay, do I wait for Anthony Volpe when he's a AAA prospect, or do I just go and use Anthony Volpe and get what I could get now? Yep. Like, get an established, like, shortstop, that's just kind of, the organizational philosophy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of moves haven't worked. Cashman's made a lot of ridiculous moves that have worked. Like, I didn't know who Luke Voigt was before we got him from the Cardinals. Like, and I bring that up all the time, but there's a lot of guys like that where, they certainly have a profile of player and what they, have certain things they look for, and for the most part it works. But we're seeing now in the biggest stages, defense matters, and having a lockdown bullpen matters. And it sucks that Cole got hurt. It sucks that Stroman was not nearly as good as he could be. Rodon, we're not getting the Giants or the latter end of the White Sox Carlos Rodon. Like, that sucks. But this is the team, what were the alternatives? It's easy to be hindsight when you're looking at how to spend money. Look at the NBA. They're signing these ridiculous deals and then getting off the guy a year later because it's like, oh, but that didn't work. It's harder to do in baseball.
Yeah, I know contracts are different, but you say the hindsight part. I say in the moment when I see certain things and I'm like, get off of certain people. Please get off of certain people. I know what the loyalty was to Brett Gardner. That was one of the biggest things for me. I know everybody's like, he's not that bad and whatever. It's like, I saw the decline in Brett Gardner for quite some time. I'm watching it and I'm like, but I understand why you're keeping him there. He's a guy that's a locker room guy. He's a guy that gets them going. And I understand that you need those type of guys there. But at what point is that not what you need? The Clint Frazier debacle, like that whole situation still drives me crazy, right? If I'm Clint Frazier, which I'm sure he is at this point in time, he absolutely, if there's any franchise he probably hates the most in the entire world, probably the Yankees, right? You have Miguel Andujar, who's damn near the MVP of a Rookie of the Year, that year, and then what did we do with him? We let him sit behind. Who did he sit behind after that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was Gio, right? Gio Urshela. But yeah,
Gio. I love Gio. But again, you got a guy who was damn near about to be the Rookie of the Year. And now we're just letting him sit in the back and not do anything like that.
Yeah, he lost to Ohtani, right? He lost to Ohtani?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And he had like 40 doubles that year or something like that. But here's the thing. You could have traded Clint and Andujar for Garrett Cole on the Pirates.
I agree.
Didn't work, and now they're, I don't know. That's why I say if Spencer Jones is hot, and we can get Dylan Cease or somebody for him,
you got to go for the sure thing. Yeah. Clint Frazier, wow, that's a blast from the past there. But in fairness,
number 7.
he turned into a little bit of a head case too.
He did.
Change his name and, whatever. But that's
love his.
Oh yeah, did he change his name?
It was something odd.
Yeah,
but
good for him.
It's neither here nor there. But I 100% agree with Sam. And as I was actually looking up Spencer Jones, just to bring him up and highlight his recent success and move up to AAA, I think he is as good as gone if they can land a viable starter or a stud third baseman with control, because his stock is never going to be higher than it is right now. I mean, granted, it's only 8 games at AAA, but 375, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, and going back to AA, he was on a heater right before their promotion as well. So I don't think his stock is going to be any higher than it is right now. And as much as the three of us love Spencer Jones, we're dreaming on, him and Judge, back to back in that lineup, hitting bombs for years to come. The strikeouts are a huge problem.
What's the AAA K rate? Is it over 30? I mean, I know it's been 8 games, and he was on a heater, as you mentioned, to end his time at AA, but it was still like over 30%, which is fine. And AA is the test. Like single A, like low A, high A, cool. Everyone looks great, and then you get to AA, which you can make the case is more talented than AAA a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And once you make it to AA, you're a heartbeat away from the majors here. And yeah, he's faltered up until late.
Just shy of 34% K rate in AA. And even in 8 games, he's in AAA, he's 30% strikeout rate. So you can't survive with that level of strikeout rate in the bigs. And it's only going to go up, right, against better pitching. Major league pitchers are going to exploit his holes in his swing. And so that's only going to go up. So yeah, I think now is probably the time that they are going to look to move off him. I'm looking at his contact rates are atrocious. Below 70% zone contact rate, around 60 to 63% contact rate overall, which is just well below average. So yeah, I think they look to move off him, try to capitalize on his recent success here, whether that's bringing in someone, like a Sandy Alcantara there in Miami, even though he's been struggling post Tommy John. But, someone of that caliber who is also under control for the next couple of years, I think that they pull the trigger and ship Jones out. A couple of third basemen I'm hearing whispers about are Key Brian Hayes. I don't know if that really does it for me. I definitely wouldn't move Jones for Key Brian Hayes.
Yeah, but the Pirates don't know what they're doing, so they might not ask for Jones.
Ask you both this: they have basically the number one prospect in the Yankees farm system is going to play third base. So, do you invest in a third baseman like that now that you have under contract? When do you think he's going to be called up in the next year or two? Do you invest that time in him now, and then third baseman from some other team, and then be under contract for like 4 or 5 years, and then just have the young man come up and sit and learn and play as he can? Or what would you do in that situation?
You're referring to Lombard? Yeah. I think he's at least 2 years away, probably. I know he's in AA, but
he's only 20, I think.
Yeah, so I think maybe he gets, if he's really tears it up the rest of this season and the beginning of next season, maybe he gets a shot. But I think realistically, he's probably up in 2027. But going back to Sam's example with Volpe, right? Yanks passed up on some all-star shortstops. So I don't worry about that. If Lombard, continues his success and continues to climb the ranks, I think that's just a good problem to have, and they'll find a spot for him if that does happen. So yeah, I think you got to go for whoever's available, even if that means they're under contract for the next several years, despite having the prospect in the system.
Agree with that. just was curious to hear what you.
Yeah. Sorry, one more name too for third base is Ryan McMahon. I think we might have mentioned him a few weeks back when we were talking about the hole at third base. But yeah, for the Rockies.
Can play second too.
Yeah. I would love to have him at third and move Jazz back to second, especially now with his shoulder issue. But yeah, there's some versatility there. He's left-handed, plays a really strong third base. I think he might have won a Gold Glove, if I'm not mistaken, at some point. Key Bryan's also a really good defensive third baseman, just a little less thump in his bat. But I like the lefty bat, obviously, in the stadium with the short porch and everything. So we'll see. But yeah, I think Spencer Jones, he'll get dealt at the deadline if the return warrants it. Yeah.
Player that I kind of wish would get dealt deadline that you guys keep talking about fantasy is Mr. Volpe. Gentlemen, it's been a topic of discussion for us essentially every series since from the beginning of the season. And for those that are wondering if it's good or bad, it's not good. The conversation's not good. Threw it every ball that hit Aaron Judge, which was the final straw for me, because you're hitting the biracial cap. You need to go. Final straw. But in all seriousness, what do you guys think is the real play here for Volpe?
Well, first,
continue to give him time, grow, allow him to play through this, as we talked about before. Do you give up and try to see what his value is on the market? What is your thoughts?
First and foremost, I can assure you I do not own him in any of my fantasy leagues. I
traded him for Mookie Betts a couple years ago. It was awesome. And Heston Kjerstad. And at the time, you're like, whoa. And now you're like,
not bad.
Sorry, Dave, if he's listening.
Fleeced. That's a Cashman style.
I think Hunter
trade there.
Brown was in that trade too, but it's fine. I got Trout and Justin Turner too. There was a bunch. Whatever. I'll show you guys later. Sorry, Dave.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, I don't know.
What Sam says and complains about all the time in our group chat when the Yanks are on, what you don't do is bat him sixth in the order. So drop him down to ninth. He's got the speed. It's. I think we've said it a couple weeks ago on the pod. You like having a guy who has some speed at the bottom of the lineup. Take some pressure off him as well. Just drop him down to ninth for a couple of weeks, or even a week. Just let's see how it goes. I don't know. You probably can't get much for him in return. I don't think the Yanks would look to move off him right now either, because again, Sam, going back to your point, shortstop is a prime position, and they're not easy to come by. So it's a tough situation, but I think you got to stick with him at this point. We really don't have any other alternative. So you drop him down to ninth in the order. You hope he, starts to come around a little bit. I said it a few weeks back too. I mean, have him start, playing some small ball, drop down some bunts. He dropped down that one bunt a few weeks back, and I was like, wow, maybe they'll listen to the podcast here. But, just whatever they can do to try and get him going would be beneficial. So, yeah, I don't think there's any market for him right now. I don't think they're going to look to move off him either because of the premier position. Drop him down to ninth and hope he hits his way out of it.
Yeah, you look at it too. Shortstop's become such a premier offensive position, and I know, it wasn't like that 20 years ago before the A-Rod, Nomar, Derek Jeter kind of revolution there. But we're getting pretty good offense from other positions that aren't notably like big offensive positions. Like having Jazz at second base is helpful. And some of the corner spots. I know third base is a mess, catcher's a mess offensively at times, but so there's that. I think he's probably just long term just going to be a second baseman at some point. if the right shortstop comes around. I don't know if that is Lombard. I don't know enough about him. Just looking at him, he probably profiles better as a third baseman just from his how he's built. But we'll see there. But again, just a few short seasons ago, I didn't think that would be an issue, right? So every day is a new adventure. So we'll see there.
I really, really, really want the kid to continue to champion people from the tri-state, especially people that grow up and are fans of, your favorite team and get the opportunity to play for that team. I can understand how much pressure that is, especially being so close. You guys saw the video that has gone on with the Mets fan. It's entertaining. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. But I can only imagine what he's going through. I thought his big turnaround moment was going to be when he hit the home run in the World Series.
Grand Slam.
It's finally, he broke through. This is such a huge moment. He's going to carry this into next year or even into the rest of the series it would have been. And that has not been the case. And obviously I know what happens last season doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into the following season, right? It's a whole different season. You're a different person, so on and so forth.
There's a really good piece in The Athletic about him. You should read it. It's pretty good.
Maybe I will. I don't know how to read, Sam, so thank you for adding it.
I'll read it to you, like an audio book.
Okay, that's perfect.
Brendan Cuddy. Yeah, it's a good. I read it this morning.
As long as the voice is one of you guys reading it to me, I'm no, I think defensively, I think he is. I mean, he's solid, but I also feel that he's with the youth. That once he gets into these spells of things going bad, everything that happens around him is just a snowball effect, and you're playing in New York. It's great that you're a kid, a local kid, and you grew up as a fan. But as fans, we don't give a damn. You're playing for the Yankees and expect greatness. And it's also hard for a young man that once he finally started playing the way that he did, it was like, oh, we finally have our shortstop, because we haven't had our shortstop since Derek Jeter, who is a Hall of Famer, right? It's hard. No matter who comes into that role, they're going to be compared to Derek Jeter no matter what. It's just what it's going to be until you have the next Hall of Famer that plays at shortstop. So I am harsh on him because I want him to really truly succeed. I think he's a good kid. It seems like he's a really good kid. He plays hard, but I'm gonna need you to get in the gym, bro. I'm gonna need you to do something.
Yeah,
best hitters period, and start sourcing from there and learning techniques. Go talk to Barry. Barry's out there somewhere, and he's been teaching some of these teams to hit well. Go watch some Tony Gwynn videos.
Barry Larkin.
Do what you got to do. You know what I mean? Exactly. Go do what you got to do. If you got to go talk to Mark McGwire, just make sure you don't get a needle from him. But just go talk to him and let them teach you some things on how to perfect your swing. And I think, again, we don't need you to be a home run hitter. We just need you to be a solid hitter. I mean,
just need you to get on base, man.
DJ right there. Yeah, there's that.
So the article said that on May 3rd, he felt a pop fielding a grounder. He took May 4th off, but he's played. He said, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I feel okay. I feel really good. But this is I just think my overall impression of Anthony Volpe is he's probably just a really good kid. But in the quote, he always says the right thing, but and this really jumped out at me reading it. Goes, I answer this question with respect and everything like that, but I feel like I'm really confident every time I step up to the plate. That's what makes it frustrating at the same time. It's just a balancing act. I mean, but he's entering Sunday, he's hitting 222, 10 homers. His OPS is almost under 7, and his WRC plus, which is runs created, is 97, and the Mendoza line for that is 100. An average baseball player is at 100. And right now, Aaron Judge is probably 200 and something. So just for a context there. But yeah, he's not getting it done. He's owning it. I don't know what more we can do. Maybe he does need a couple days off. Maybe he does need to hit ninth. But what was that stat that you said from the broadcast? He's left the second most guys on base all season.
I think he's now leading in that now after these.
Yeah, can't do that. Can't do it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a big part of production that's being lost right now.
And again, he almost took out the captain.
Not solely on him. Not solely on the kid. You know what I mean? Like it's not, but we've said it plenty of times, and this is where podcasters get scrutinized and whatnot, is because we've never played at that level. But we also understand how hard it is to hit a damn ball like that, right? But at the same time, you are that caliber of player, and you got to that level, so you should be able to do that. And we're expecting it's just we're in New York. We expect greatness, no matter what it is, from who it is. You know?
I mean that's the thing. Like you're playing a pivotal position on a championship contender, and like we've said numerous times now, and you just mentioned it, Hayes. Like, no, it's not fair to Volpe to be compared to Jeter, but that comes with the territory, you know. And if he's going to succeed, he's got to get some tough skin and learn to deal with that. I mean, it's a pressure cooker in New York, man. I mean, fans have booed Jeter, you know, when he went through his slumps, or booted, you know, a few balls in the field. They boo Judge, you know, they boo everyone. It's New York, and that's gonna happen. So he's got to learn how to kind of face that adversity and fight through that. And if he can, then maybe he succeeds. If he can't, then we'll have to look for a new shortstop here. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a real struggle for him on both sides of the ball, you know, at the plate as well as in the field. Just saw third most errors amongst shortstops this year. So he's got to figure it out. Like you said, Sam, I don't know if that means they sit him for a couple of games, try to get his mind right, maybe try to work on some adjustments over the All-Star break. But something's got to give there.
Go holla at Didi, man.
Sir Didi, yeah.
Go holla at Didi, because Didi had it rough, because Didi came after Jeter.
Yeah.
And everybody was looking at him. It was so rough on him, and he won over Yankees fans by just doing what he had to do in his part. We didn't need you to be Jeter.
Right.
You know, some people are going to be unrealistic. We're not speaking for the unrealistic people. Is we just need you to be serviceable there and bring that energy that we need. But then again, Volpe may not be that kid. He may not be that person to do that. And that's okay if he's not. It's not obviously okay in the moment while they're trying to win a World Series or get back to the World Series, right? It's as a fan watching it, but if he's not that, he's not that. And then I guess they're going to have to figure out what it's going to be. What that is going to be, who knows? But I guess they'll figure it out one way or another. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I'm looking at like the team stats as well across the league. I mean, I just can't really make sense of it. I mean, the Yanks second in all of baseball in home runs, fourth in RBIs. They lead Major League Baseball in walks. They also, they're fourth in strikeouts as a team. But, you know, I mean, they have talent on this roster, and those stats in mind. And I know we discussed part of this in our chat as well, like leads me to believe that it's more than the players, right? And maybe it's the process, maybe it's the management, maybe it's just situational hitting as well, right? I mean, they're definitely not getting it done with runners in scoring position lately. So, but I mean, these major counting stats on the team level, like I said, they lead all of baseball, or at least in the top 5 in a lot of these. And it just can't really make sense of it. And even in pitching too. I mean, even like their staff as a whole hasn't been awful for the first half of the season. It's really, you know, recent struggles here. So it's something's got to click with this team here and turning these stats into wins, you know, and more consistency. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next several weeks leading up to the deadline.
Well, since you guys said that Boone's not going to get fired, we'll talk about a coach that did get fired along with the GM. And that would be Dave Martinez and Mike Rizzo of the Nationals. I know who Dave Martinez is because I just remembered, didn't he have like a viral situation like a couple of years ago with the Nationals? If I remember correctly, it was some. I remember something very vividly. I'm just trying to
probably. Yeah, I don't quite remember.
What's your guys' thoughts on this firing of both of these gentlemen?
I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, was it 2019? The Nationals were in last place at Memorial Day and won the World Series. I know they had Steven Strasburg and Juan Soto, and the team was underperforming. But you look at what, I talk about all the time, this Juan Soto trade just got them 2 All-Stars and 2 of the better young players at their positions in Mackenzie Gore and James Wood. And you have one guy still in the minors. Hassel's been up and down, and then you have CJ Abrams, who, if he's not in a casino, he's usually pretty good. I don't know what he's like at the blackjack table or anything. Maybe he's pretty good there too. I don't know, but like, what's this team doing? There's a lot of young talent. Dylan Cruz is still banged up. I'm blanking on. I mean, some of the pitching has been pretty good. They have some pretty good guys in the minors. I think they have the first pick in Sunday's draft, or the second pick.
Yeah.
So like, that's something it's probably what are we doing internally here? But they have a lot of pieces. It just hasn't gelled together. It doesn't really surprise me, but I haven't been necessarily following it that close.
Yeah. I was a little surprised that for that point, Sam, as well as just his tenure there, but Mike Rizzo, the GM, I mean, having won a World Series, so I was definitely surprised a week before the draft, where they hold the number 1 overall pick, they let go of their GM. The manager, maybe not so much, but it seems, just from everything that I've read and heard, they're probably, management or ownership is looking around at their peers and they're behind them. So maybe this rebuild isn't going as quickly or efficiently as they had hoped. They're behind the Marlins in the standings, which is not a good place to be. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, the timing of it all. Like I said, a week out from the draft, and you hold the first overall pick. So yeah, it's like I said, the GM is definitely surprising, letting him go. The manager, I don't really know what to make of that, if it's just direction and approach there. But yeah, interesting stuff. I know you're hoping the Yankees follow suit at some point this year. I don't see that happening unless they really fall out of contention. But
when was the last time we fired a manager in the middle of the season? Like Billy Martin?
I was gonna say, Billy Martin, or yeah.
So I just don't think it's happening for the Yankees. I didn't even think the draft's this week, and you fire your GM. So there's clearly a disconnect there. I didn't even put that together. So who knows?
A difference of opinion or direction. Yeah.
I don't have much to add to this because I last about either of this, but they can always go back and get Anthony Rendon if they want to go and do that, and just live their best life. That's it. I don't really care.
Maybe he got fired for all the money that's deferred from like Max Scherzer and stuff like that. But yeah, at least you didn't give Anthony Rendon $250 million.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still paying Strasburg, but whatever. You won a World Series.
And into the ground. Gentlemen, before we get out of here, Joey Glizzy Chestnuts locked up his 17th Nathan's hot dog title. So just to preface this conversation, people that are listening, I decided to text the group that this was coming on to remind, because I just so happened to turn my TV on, and it was last night on ESPN, and told everybody that Joey Chestnut was coming on. And the commentary that ensued was absolutely glorious of the stuff that we were reading and saying and heard from there. I think I do care about this since this is on Do You Care, just for the fact of how entertaining it was to have a conversation and the jokes that we had amongst ourselves. I do not care about hot dog eating contests or any gluttonous food eating contests that I think is the most disgusting thing in the world, especially watching grown people shove hot dogs down their face and look like they're going to vomit every 5 seconds of indulging on one of these. So I do care. I do care just for the simple fact of the commentary, which was absolutely golden. I thought I was watching ESPN The Ocho at one point. Very, very clear. But we were not. It was just regular. Yeah.
Just American hero. Sitting on a beach trying to explain to my son what I'm watching on my phone. Like, yes, this is a sport. Competitively eating hot dogs.
Witnessing greatness here. Yeah.
Yeah, just 17 titles, 9 out of the last 10 years. Just go. I mean, would you have stopped at, like, the second place guy had 48? And I think his record is 76. So, like,
I mean,
I don't know. Just the fact that he didn't clear, he cleared the second place guy and just kept going was go.
Commitment. Yeah. Dedication to the craft.
We have to live stream this thing next year. Like, it 100%. Needs to happen. Yeah. The chat, like, we could embellish a lot of things, but it was golden. It was so good.
The fact that one of the commentators said, "Chew GPT," and to play off the chat GPT was wild. That was one of the wild things that was said. Man, Jeremy chat. Shout out to him.
I told you, that's right up on his resume, man. Jeremy Schaap, one of the more accomplished, television sports personalities of our generation. And we just have to add this. I don't know when he started doing this. I don't know the last time I watched it with sound on, but, like, man, give this guy like a whatever award they give writers. I don't know. I was a journalism major. I don't know. Yeah, just give Jeremy an ESPY.
Yeah, give him that.
Mr. Sports Reporter.
Shout out to Miki Sudo as well, the women's hot dog eating champion here. 33 in 10 minutes. It's her 11th pink belt, not the yellow belt, not the mustard belt there. So yeah, Miki Sudo.
So shout out to you by Pepto.
It ought to be.
It should be. There's a missed opportunity if it's not.
Yeah, that just writes itself, huh? Does this ruin food for them, do you think? I mean, how do you enjoy food after shoving 70 hot dogs down your throat?
Yeah.
Dogs for a while until you have to train. Like, if you've never watched the 30 for 30.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
The 30 for 30, you see the whole inside of what they do leading up to these competitions, and it's very interesting to kind of learn. Like, I only watched it just for, like, research purposes, just to see what was going on. But I mean, they still enjoy food, but in their mind, they're
I don't know what the next 36 hours.
Training. Like, it's just all year round training for eating. So
I was saying to my family too, like, what's the training look like? Oh, it's Memorial Day. Got to start. Well, what's the next 36 hours look like for Joey Chestnut? Or the poor guy who only ate, I don't know, like 20. Like, what's that? How many hot dogs do you think you could do in 10 minutes? Legit. Like,
I don't know. 10? Yeah, maybe 10.
Yeah, if I was really hungry.
Probably not even 10. Yeah.
I probably would do 5. Maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
And I would have to not eat for like 2 days prior.
Right.
But think about that. You're not just shoving the hot dog. Like, if you were just eating the hot dog alone, you'd probably be
bread.
Be able to eat. The quantity would go up. But you're
doing I can't really eat a hot dog without stuff on it either. So
I could listen. You got to think. See, you're thinking in just regular terms. If we're eating, like, we're trying to eat as much as we can, not for pleasure. Like, that's clearly you gotta. Yeah, you get it. It's just crazy. It's just wild talking about this conversation.
Shout out to Pete's Hot Dog.
I'm a Tony's guy. Newburgh lunch.
Hey, I know Newburgh lunch very well.
Oh, I know.
You don't know.
I know. Yeah,
but
bakery right down the
those
street
guys
there,
are
right? Yeah.
those guys are awesome too. Yeah. Here we are. But yeah. Next year we have to live stream it. I would pay to see Hayes just try as many hot dogs as possible.
That's what we should do.
But
let's do it.
But next year we can live stream, and we'll vote. People vote on should I eat Tony's Newburgh lunch or.
That's what we can do. We can do a taste comparison between Tony's and Pete's, and instead of scarfing down or trying to consume 10 hot dogs each, we can just do a nice little have a Pete's hot dog, those snappers, and then a Tony's with everything, and compare. Give our ratings.
Yes, I can do that, and I might have to get a burger from Tony's. Wow.
Yeah, cheeseburger with everything. Yeah.
Spoiler: everyone wins in that situation.
True. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, that's it, right? We're good.
Yeah, that's it. Because I'm hungry. So.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed an hour on Anthony Volpe. 176 in the books for Brendan and Branden. I'm Sam. Thanks so much for listening. And next week, Harrison's take on all of this and more. So until next time, peace.
He's 100% saw with the Nathans.
He's pissed he's not here. He's got to be pissed. He's going to be listening to this on his way to work tomorrow.
On that note, since we are leaving, breaking news did come across for us. Agrees to a 5-year max rookie contract extension that could reach up to $287 million. So shout out to him. That's funny. Please give me.
I don't know who that is.
You should look it up.
You really don't know who Paolo Banchero is?
Is he a competitive eater? Is that Chestnut's competition?
Name the team that. Name the sport.
Next week. Goodbye.
Name the sport.
Tune this. Goodbye.
See ya.